Shalom. First and foremost, before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah HaKodash. The honors go out to the apostles, elders, great millstone, who rule and teach well. Shalom, love, Barakim to you brothers and sisters out there. Alright, it's the brother Malachi from the Great Millstone Nashville camp. And Lord, when this lesson is edifying to the hopeful elect. Alright, I watched this movie yesterday called Obsession. I caught it in theaters. And first of all, it was a really good movie. Definitely one of the best horror movies I've seen in recent times. It's pretty unique, I would say, as well. Well put together. More so creepy than scary. You know, sometimes that's better, you know, for a movie like that. But you know, without going into the movie, because I ain't going to spoil it. You know, plus this isn't like a review of the movie. This is a lesson, you know. But which doing a review of the movie and then tying it in the spirit is a great way to make a lesson. You know, brothers do it all the time. But I'm saying this isn't one of those. It's just a regular lesson. I just wanted to pull one thing from it. Well, maybe a few. We'll just see how the spirit plays it out. But the big thing that came to my mind this morning to talk about regarding this is just that, like, first of all, the movie shows the left-hand side ain't no joke. You know, you can tell. You know, people in these different movies and in real life, they think that the left-hand side is a joke. They think that witchcraft isn't real. It's just all fantasy and made up. But that's not the case. All right, you see, there's a right hand and a left hand of the Heavenly Father. Why do you think the people in Egypt, back during the time of Moses, were able to mimic some of the things that Aaron was doing? Because there's power in the left-hand side. Obviously, the right-hand side is much stronger, much more powerful. Right, and we know that ultimately the left hand will come to naught, right? But it's still a real thing. You know, why do you think the scriptures stress the importance of casting judgment on witches and warlocks? Because it's a very real thing. And our people aren't supposed to be participating in such practices. Right? We're supposed to be worshiping Yahweh Basham Shai. Now, one thing that stuck out to me, though, you know, that I was thinking about while I'm driving to work was that type of thing, you know, the demon, because basically the movie deals with a demon. People are getting ready to see that. All right, that type of thing, not, you know, literally pound for pound the Obsession movie, you know, but people are like really going to start getting demons on them, man. And there's going to be a lot of judgment and plagues going on out here. There's going to be a lot of scary things. We're talking about the king of terrors, the Most High Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. They know your worst fears. We know that America is going to be, like it says 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, the Lord is going to plague Egypt as before. And that's what made me want to run into this Wisdom of Solomon, the 17th chapter. You know, which I might get a few verses out of here. You know, talking about the darkness and how they couldn't see in front of their faces even when they, you know, lit fire. All right, imagine that. And you don't know what the hell is lurking in that darkness. You know, you ever, obviously when you were a kid, you know, you look over, you know, you might think something's in the closet. It might be a pile of clothes or toys or something, and it's like, right, that look like a person, or it looks like somebody's sitting in a chair over there. You know, these things are getting ready to happen to grown-ass people, except it's going to be straight-up demons and newly created beasts and all sorts of manner of things that you don't want to see and you don't want to, you know, you don't want to witness. Now, we know we're going to have to witness and see these things because we're going to be on the ground zero with the rest of these people. But the Lord is going to protect and take care of His followers, right? Which is why we really have nothing to worry about. You know, we don't have to worry about anything. You know, we just need to put our trust in Yahweh Basham Shai, and for the time being, we need to work on ourselves, you and become the best versions of ourselves that we can to the best of our ability. Take better care of yourself. First and foremost, focus on the spiritual things. Right? Because that's why we're here. We're here for the ministry. We're not here to get rich. Right? We're not here to have a family. We're not here to have an amazing career. We're not here to make music. Now, there's nothing wrong with you getting a good job, and if you have kids and a woman, and beautiful, make some extra money and all that, cool. But none of these things are our priorities, right? We are prioritizing the ministry because we understand that all these things can be gone in the morning, right? You can go to sleep and wake up and lose everything. That's the time that we're in. So like Apostle Peter said, what manner of persons ought you to be? Now, I wanted to go down here. Verse 18 to 19. It says, whether it were a whistling wind or a melodious noise of birds among the spreading branches, or a pleasing fall of water running violently, or a terrible sound of stones cast down, or a running that could not be seen of skipping beasts, or a roaring voice of most savage wild beasts, or a rebounding echo from the hollow mountains, these things made them to swoon for fear. Let's get that word, swoon. It says to faint or lose consciousness. So it was so bad, so terrifying, the different things that people were seeing and hearing. Well, in this case, hearing, because they couldn't see, right? The darkness, they couldn't see shit. They didn't know what the hell was going on, or what was coming after them. But it's the same thing with seeing. Talks about that, Yahushua talked about that, right? How in the time that we're coming into, especially when Yahushua comes back, people's heart, some people are going to die off of that. Just seeing Yahushua return, they're going to faint. Their heart's going to give out. Men's hearts failing for fear. It tells us in the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 1, that this is the worst time. It's so bad that Michael the Archangel is going to have to step in. All right, the time that we're coming into is going to surpass 70 AD. All right, it's going to be absolutely horrific because we're talking about the end of Esau's reign. You think that's going to go down peacefully? No. It's the end of Esau's rulership as a whole. As a whole, man. This has never happened before. He went down to Greeks, he went down to Romans, but this time it's permanent. And you see, the world has never been more wicked than it is right now. So there's going to be a lot of judgments that have to go out for this wickedness, man. There's going to be a lot of things that's about to happen. A lot of terrifying, scary things. And if you don't have Yahweh B'Shem El Shai, if you don't have that protection, then you're going to be cooked, Whether it be metaphorically speaking, or even literally speaking, because there's going to be plenty of people that are destroyed by them thermonuclear missiles. Real talk. Real talk, man. So, that Zechariah 14 and 12. Let me go ahead and get that. People don't know what's coming. And prior to the nuclear destruction, there's going to be a lot of different judgments and calamities going out there that are terrible as well. Because remember, like it says in Lamentations, it's better to die by the sword than to die by famine. And it tells us in 2nd Ezra that there's going to be many people that perish of famine, and the other that escape the famine shall the sword destroy. And that connects with Amos 5 and 18. You're not going to be able to escape judgment. You might escape the famine, but then the sword's going to get you. You might escape the sword, but then pestilence is going to get you. You might escape pestilence, but then, like the list goes on and on and on. The teeth of wild beasts. All right, your own neighbors. Your own neighbors, they've been starving. They've already caught bodies. They turned into a fucking little group of serial killers, murderers, cannibals. people are going to, because that's in the scriptures. Cannibalism. Yeah. People being so desperate. All right, Yahushua spoke about that. The love of many waxing cold. Matthew 24 and verse 12, I believe. But then the verse right after that says, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. You don't endure a good time. It's about to be horrible. It's about to be rough out here. All right, and the end all be all to that judgment is this nuclear destruction. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh Shai will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. You see? That's talking about getting melted by nuclear missiles. Which, you know, a lot of people are under the impression that, you know, because when you look at it at a base level, you know, like as a carnal man, a natural man, you're like, oh, well, getting disintegrated, that would be an instant death. Well, you understand that the Lord controls time, right? Because it says in 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, verse 12, it talks about death by pain. Just because it's a nuclear blast doesn't mean you're going to disintegrate in 0.2 seconds. All right, the Lord's going to make sure that all of the wicked people feel a horrible death. You don't know how long it's going to feel like you're burning and melting, and you know, because it just talked about what your flesh consuming away, right? Your eyes consuming. So this is a process that's going on here, albeit a fast one. But the Lord can slow that down, just like how He's speeding up the time now for the elect's sake. You see, it ain't the time to be playing games. Like it says in Isaiah 55 and 6, seek ye the Lord while He may be found, call ye upon Him while He is near. Alright, if you don't want to be, you know, subject to these, which we all, you know, we all get spirits on us, we all get demons on us, and that's why we pray, we fast, you know, we stay involved in the spirit, you know, to keep them off of us. You know, right? Because darkness can't enclose on a fire, right? We're sitting by the fire, man, at a campsite. The fire is keeping the darkness away from us. As long as you keep that fire lit, that darkness is going to stay behind. You know, but a lot of these people, they don't have, you know, the ability to well, the Lord didn't give them that fire. You know, He didn't give them the materials to have that fire. He didn't give them the flame. Then there's other guys that the Lord gave the flame, but they don't want to feed it, so it's dying out. And especially during winter time, you don't want that fire going out, man. You're going to freeze to death. You know? So, make sure you're staying in the spirit. Meditate upon these things. Meditate upon the horrors that's about to come upon the earth. And then think to yourself, do I want to be a victim of that? The answer is obviously no. So what do you need to do to avoid it? Serve Yahweh by Shemel Shai. Now hold on, I'm going to get one more thing, and then I'm going to go ahead and close out. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 6 to 7 in the NLT. It says, now let me ask you a question. Do men give birth to babies? Then why do they stand there ashen-faced? Hold on, let me get over. Hands pressed against their sides like a woman in labor. In all history, there has never been such a time of terror. It will be a time of trouble for my people Israel, yet in the end they will be saved. And in the KJV it says, but he shall be saved out of it. The they that shall be saved and the he that shall be saved out of it. That's talking about the elect. Now, like Apostle Paul went into, all Israel is ultimately going to be saved. They're all going to receive the kingdom of heaven. They're going to receive salvation. But they're not going to get saved from the second death. They're not going to get saved from the judgment. They're not in the secret place. Psalms 91, read that chapter. Alright, so Lord, when that this lesson was edifying, before I close, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shemel Shai, Ba'Shem Rakak Wadash. The honors go out to the apostles, elders, great millstone. Shalom.